everyone, and welcome back to my channel. This is Erica from Confessions of a Homeschooler, and it is time for my January Blahs homeschooling video. I actually wasn't gonna film this again this year because I've done it for a couple of years, but what I have discovered is that it's like we each need a little bit of encouragement at the beginning of the year every year, or at least I do. So I'm like, you know what, if I need it, maybe somebody else does. I'm gonna film this video anyway. So I always film one called How to Beat the Homeschooling Blahs or the January Blahs, and essentially it's talking about what it's like to come back after the holiday highs, right? And then we have to get back into school, restart everything up, get back in the groove. And nobody's usually all that excited about that. We're still on vacation. We've done a ton of fun things, right? Christmas can be really hectic. And then once January hits and it's time to get back to the grind, nobody wants to do that, and that can include me as well. And so last year I actually was really positive and felt really good. This year I am tired. Christmas wore me out, and quite honestly I could use another few weeks of vacation, and just sleeping in my jammies is kind of what I feel like I need. But I know in the back of my mind that if I do that, then our break is going to get pushed back for summer. And when summer rolls around and it starts getting nice outside and paddle boards come out and people are biking and, you know, go down to the lake and fish and all that fun stuff, the last thing that we want to be doing is school. And so I just kind of keep that in the back of my mind as, you know what, I can either pull myself up by the bootstraps right now and do school, or I can procrastinate, and that's gonna affect me later when I wanna be outside enjoying things. And so since our weather is super cold here right now, why not just get school done? And so that's what we are doing. So I have a couple of tips that I'm going to share with you to at least kind of hopefully help get you semi-motivated and just re-geared up for the new year. So my first tip is to start fresh. So we do this every Christmas break, and we clean out everybody's desks, just get all the old papers out and, you know, old pencils and crumpled up trash that kind of gets like, you know, just everywhere through the course of the year. Get everybody's drawers cleaned out, resharpen pencils. If we need it, we get fresh new supplies. You know, and just kind of reset up things. We have even moved our homeschool room around, like reorganized in December, just so that when we come back in January, everybody has maybe a new desk area or, you know, just a new kind of like perspective, right? So clean out the room, freshen everything up, freshen your supplies up. January is also a great time to reassess your curriculum. So if you've got something that hasn't been working very well for you and you're just really not satisfied with, then now is a good time to start something new. Maybe kind of wrap it up over the Christmas and then look at something different for the remainder of the year. And I don't like to encourage people to maybe waste money like, oh, we bought this, but we're not really loving it. Let's buy something new. Not like that. If there's something that's kind of like, we'll usually just stick it out for the rest of the year. But if there's something that's really causing me like heartache and making me dread school or making my kids dread school, that's the kind of thing that I will usually maybe reassess, look for something different, and swap out mid-year. It's a great time to do it. It's a new start, and a lot of times having something that was really causing a lot of drama like before be gone and know, hey, we're gonna try something new for January. That can do a lot for kind of motivating people like, okay, yeah, let's get going on this. Let's try this new thing. And so that's a great time to do that. So I think I like to try and view January as like an overall fresh start. You know, we're gonna get everything cleaned up, get everything organized, get rid of all the clutter and just stuff, and maybe try something new and just kind of like start fresh. So that's my first tip for you, is just to try and, you know, get your kids involved, have them help with maybe rearranging, just get them excited for a fresh new start. The next thing that I like to try and encourage during this time of year is physical activity, because at least where we are, it's really cold outside, and so it's kind of hard to like get outside and do a lot of things. Now we do have a dog and we take him on 2 to 3 walks a day, so we do get outside and like do things. Sometimes those walks, instead of taking him on a walk, I'll have, hey, you guys, let's go to the park with the dog. He can run around, you guys can all run around and just, you know, just get out and get some exercise. And that might even be like going to an indoor swimming pool or going ice skating or just something to kind of get out and get moving, because I think at least where we are, depends on your weather, but where we are, it's really easy to get into that mode of like, oh, I just want to wear my jammies and curl up inside every day, which is great. I actually love that about winter, and I love like sitting by the fire and, you know, just being warm and cozy and reading books and things like that. But when you stay really sedentary during winter months like that, it can also really affect your mood and your energy levels and things like that. And that can in turn, you know, honestly affect your homeschooling, because just people aren't as motivated. I do require our kids get dressed every day. We get up, we get ready, we make our beds, we get dressed, and then we start school kind of like they would if we were going to a traditional school. We do have snow days. If it's actively snowing, they can stay in their jammies, and that I don't mind. But when it turns into every day everybody's in their jammies and people are rolling out of bed and they're kind of coming downstairs and they're just, you know, maybe laying on the couch watching movies all day and stuff, that just really, I have found, affects their just overall motivation for everything, not just school, but everything. And so just staying active and finding little ways where you can, you know, even if you're doing like an indoor workout video or something, or stretch together as a family, or, you know, whatever, do kind of indoor, like, you know, some PE stuff. I have just found that that really helps, just getting moving, getting your blood flowing, and also, like I mentioned before, getting out of the house, going to the park, getting some fresh air. If it's super, super cold, just go do something else. Like I said, the indoor skating or swimming, or, you know, there's tons of ideas that you can do to kind of just get out and get some exercise. Along those lines, I like to schedule field trips for this time of the year. January, February, March can be really, really cold here. And field trips are a great way to kind of motivate people. And they know like, hey, we've got this many days of school, but this day we're gonna go here. That can really kind of just give them something to look forward to. After the holidays, right, they're looking forward to Christmas so much. When it hits, there can be like a kind of a big downfall after that, where like now we don't really have anything to look forward to until summer, and that's like forever away in their minds, and in my mind. This is the longest stretch of homeschool that we do, and so just having little things, like fun things like that, like field trips, and of course, if your weather is bad, then they might need to be indoor field trips, can really just help kind of get people motivated and excited about something. And so we'll do indoor field trips a lot of times this time of the year. Maybe go to the aquarium, go to the, if it's nice enough out, we'll try and go to the zoo. We have a couple of indoor museums around here we can do. There's lots of things that you can kind of do. Even, it doesn't have to be a full-on field trip. Sometimes we'll just gather all our stuff and go do school at the library. It's just a change of pace, gets everybody out of the house, just kind of something different. And that can kind of help with their motivation and just overall just kind of get up and get out of the house. You know, it's just cold outside, and you sometimes need a little bit of extra motivation to do that. But taking those little breaks, making sure you get exercise, making sure you take little, you know, field trips and things like that, all of that really helps with just your overall mood, your energy level, and things like that. Along with that, we eat a lot of comfort food in the wintertime, soups and things like that. I do my best to try and continue eating healthy during this time. Lots of fruits and vegetables, and, you know, whatever's in season, basically, because that changes. But we do still try to make sure that we're eating healthy, not as many carbs maybe, because I think in the wintertime you can get really into like, oh, you know, you want warm comfort food, you want bread and, you know, hearty stuff, and that's fine, but I still want to try and encourage our family to eat healthy and make sure that we're getting, you know, good nutrients, because all of those things combined with the physical activity can really help with our mood and our motivation as a whole. And then I think just overall, sometimes it's not really I guess it's a tip, but it's kind of like sometimes, you know, you're trying all these things and you still just don't want to do it. And unfortunately, sometimes, and this is what it's come down to for me this year, sometimes you just have to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and do it. Like, embrace Nike's slogan, just do it, right? And as much as I don't want to, I still get up. I'm like, all right, guys, let's go. We've got a day ahead of us. Let's knock this out, and then we can go and do something fun this afternoon. And, you know, just me being motivating for them is like, okay, we can do it, we can get up and do it. If you as the teacher are really like, oh, I don't want to do school, I don't want to you know, be here, oh, this is like horrible, that will really affect your kids' attitudes as well. They just will feed right off of that, and pretty soon they're like, yeah, we don't want to do it either. Do we have to? And if you're not careful, they can talk you out of it. I mean, they're pretty good about it, and if you don't want to do it either, it's like, oh yeah, let's just skip it today, you know. And I think that during this time of the year, sometimes you just have to just let that go and just be like, you know what? We're gonna do it even though we don't want to. We'll feel better about ourselves. It's kind of like working out. You might not want to work out, but you feel better about yourself after you do it. It's kind of like that. Let's get it done and let's just knock it out, because the alternative to that is that we don't do it today. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, then that has to get pushed back. We still have to make that up somewhere. And so whether that means, oh, if we take off today, we might have to do school Saturday, or oh, if we take history off this many times, we're going to be doing that, like, you know, clear into summer, and that's not as appealing as a prospect. So sometimes just getting it done today, even if you don't want to, can motivate you to do it again tomorrow, because the farther and farther you get behind on something, the less and less you're going to want to do it, and the more overwhelming it's going to seem to try and pick it back up. And we have had years like that where we've kind of skipped out on maybe history or something like that for a few weeks, and it's really hard to get back into it. People don't remember maybe where you were, and also you're so far behind that it's almost like intimidating and overwhelming, and it's like, oh, we're never going to get caught up with this, let's just skip it again. And it's just a snowball. So I think that just pulling yourself up by the bootstraps and being like, you know what, I don't want to do this today, but we're going to do it anyway, and we're going to get it done, and that way we won't have it hanging over our heads for tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. That can also go a long way in motivating, just getting re-motivated for the new year. So those are my main tips. Start fresh, clean out the clutter, get new supplies, maybe reorganize your area or where you do school, you know, things like that. Get outside, get some physical activity in, you know, do some little, you know, calisthenics, whatever. Go to the library, take field trips, and then just do it. Those are my tips for getting back into the homeschooling groove in January. And quite honestly, those are my tips for getting just back into life in January. You know, just all of those things combined, you kind of sometimes have to just motivate yourself, right? It doesn't just come naturally sometimes. And so all of those things have at least helped our family. So I hope that you have found those tips helpful as well for your family. And of course, make sure that you pray about every beginning of your year and just what God has for you that year as well, so that you are walking in His will for your lives. So those are our tips for how we at least get our family motivated to get going again in the new year. I hope that you found them helpful. If you have any tips to share, please leave a comment below. I'm sure others would love to hear what you are doing as well. I'm sure I didn't mention everything. Those are just some of the standard things that we do every year to just kind of get back in the swing of things for homeschooling. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great 2018 or whatever year it is that you're watching this, and I will see you next time.